Family.
Family, it's your favorite queer radio personality, Anna DeShawn, and this is our Queer News Live series during lunchtime. I'm coming to y'all on Mondays at 7 and Thursdays at noon with Queer News. It has been a good time so far. I'm enjoying this. So let's get into the stories for today. Let's go. Family, like I said, this is Anna DeShawn, your favorite queer radio personality, and you are tapped in to E3 Radio, where we are queer news done right. Okay, my voice. I'm back. It's been that type of time. I'm telling you. I hope y'all are feeling well out there. This is Queer News Live on Thursdays in the afternoon, and I just want to give y'all time to sit with me for a little bit. Let's talk about some of the queer news stories we've seen since I dropped the episode on Monday. This gives us something also going into the weekend. This past Monday, though, our episode was all about Trans Day of Visibility, and we received 7 new voicemails. We added 7 more from last year, and it's such a beautiful episode. If you have not tapped into our Trans Day of Visibility episode, please do so. I think it is one of the most beautiful episodes we produce all year round, because we literally hand the mic to our trans siblings, and it does not disappoint. It's the second year we've done it, and at this point, it's a tradition. Okay, at this point, it is what we will continue to do. So, family, let's get into some top queer news stories, huh? First up, let's talk about the governor. Wisconsin's Governor Tony Evers, huh? He continues to stand up and advocate on behalf of LGBTQ folks in his state. In a state where he has a Republican-led House, a Republican-led Senate, and when anti-LGBTQ and anti-trans laws come to his desk, he has continuously vetoed them, okay? Over and over and over again. And he plans to continue to do so, which I think is absolutely incredible. Let's go through which bills he actually vetoed, okay? And in the meaning between, if you're tapping in, tell me where you're tapping in from. Okay. Let's talk. Let's talk a little bit. I woke up this morning, I'll share an image with you, and it made me smile, even though in the midst of so much going on in this moment. But let's talk about Wisconsin's governor. He vetoed 5 anti-trans bills on Trans Day of Visibility. He vetoed 5 that came to his desk. One was an anti-trans sports bill for K through 12 schools. One was an anti-trans sports bill that focused on college students. One was about denying preferred names and pronouns in schools. This legislation was saying, we're going to use whatever name we want, not the one you want us to use. Child. He vetoed a trans youth gender affirming care ban, which was trying to dead any gender affirming care in Wisconsin. He vetoed that too, okay? And then he vetoed lawsuits regarding gender affirming care. He said, not here in this state, not today, not while I'm still in office. And this isn't the first time he's done it. And this is not the first time he's done it. And he is committed to doing it again. And he took pictures with LGBTQ advocates in the midst of vetoing these bills. It's like he makes the veto an event. Okay. He said, y'all want to bring this to my desk? I'm going to bring the advocates here and I'm going to veto it while they with me. Okay. I ain't mad. I ain't mad at the photo op. And what we also know is that unlike other states like Kansas, where a governor may veto a piece of legislation and then the House and the Senate reintroduce it to override the veto, Wisconsin doesn't have the numbers to do that. Wisconsin doesn't have the 2/3 majority in both chambers to actually do an override. So when the governor vetoes, it's actually a veto. Now, are they committed to reintroducing these pieces of legislations come next cycle? Of course they are. Of course they are. They are hell bent on trying to erase our trans sibs from public life. They must be getting a lot of money, getting paid a lot of money to do this because they are committed. Okay, they are committed. They don't even know any trans people for real. So will they reintroduce? Sure. Next legislative session, have no doubt that they will. They've done it over and over again. And as long as Governor Tony Evers is in office, he will also continue to veto those pieces of legislation. Yeah. Yeah, he will. And so this is often what we need, family. And this is another reason why voting is so important. Even especially today, veto overrides were not even a popular thing to do, 10 years ago. It wasn't something that was actually heard of. It's actually unheard of for legislative bodies and chambers to override the veto of a governor. Today, normal activity. Today, it is a normal activity, which makes voting even more important because even if you don't have the majority in either chamber, right, having enough that keeps you from having veto overrides is a win today, especially if you've got a governor, right, that is on your side. Because it is a normal practice. It is a normal practice at this point. And so Wisconsin don't got it. So at this point, these bills are dead. Okay. And Wisconsin stays another ally here in the Midwest with Illinois in advocating and stand alongside LGBTQ folks and trans folks, which is so incredibly important. So incredibly important. So big ups to Governor Tony Evers, big ups to the advocates in Wisconsin, big ups to those who are fighting on the ground, the people whose names we will never know. We will never know their names. They will probably never make front page national news, but they are doing the work to keep their state safe and free of discrimination. Thank you. My word. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Now, family, something else, like I was saying earlier, I woke up uh, and I saw this image, and I want to share this image with y'all this morning. This image of Justice Ketanji Brown Jackson and Trump. I just find this image so incredibly powerful here. Now, this was from the birthright citizenship case that the Supreme Court heard. And it is Justice Ketanji Brown Jackson declaring and questioning the validity of this argument and reaffirming that the Constitution still lives. That what are we doing? In so many words. And I also highlighting this image because we also just received the decision about the conversion therapy case, ban case, where 8-1 the justices agreed to send it back to the lower courts, and they provided a temporary injunction. But she was the only one who said, "No, you can't do this. This should not be a precedent." And she sided on the side of that conversion therapy is bad, right? Now, I have so many questions about the conversion therapy piece of things because there's the First Amendment argument, right? And when you start playing around with the law, the terminology, the language, all of it is so incredibly important. They chose a case, they chose a state, they found the right plaintiff to bring the said case, and they funded it, well funded. And it's specifically about talk therapy. There's some specifics in there about First Amendment, right? So the First Amendment can equal talk, and this therapist's right to speak on whatever she wants to speak on inside of her own therapy session. This is the argument. And so with that, there's a lot to consider because we do value the First Amendment. Yes. And just as, People on the right want to be able to talk about conversion therapy. People on the left want to be able to talk about gender affirming care. Right. So, two sides of a different coin. Okay. When we talk about the First Amendment, and it does not strike down the conversion therapy ban in any state. It doesn't set a precedent for removing these bans. There's still 23 bans and DC that ban conversion therapy across the country. Okay. But it sure does not help. It sure doesn't help because the rhetoric around it, if you don't dig deeper than a headline, and if you don't consult someone who is familiar with the law, you will believe that the Supreme Court upheld conversion therapy. Right? I think Justice Ketanji Brown Jackson's argument here, I think, is really, really poignant in regards to the validity of the talk therapy, right? And she is questioning the limits of the First Amendment, which I think most of us really should do when we think about hate speech. And I've always felt this way about hate speech in particular, that it's one thing to have your First Amendment rights, it's another thing to hate and to cause harm. I never felt like that the First Amendment, that was in the essence of the First Amendment. How could it be? Why should it be? And so we're going to dig more into the conversion therapy. We're actually going to do a deeper dive and a whole video, interview some folks about this conversion therapy ruling, because there's much to understand, and there's much to understand about this that you just won't get from a headline. I think there are stories to be heard about conversion therapy that you just won't get from a headline or clickbait. There's so much nuance here, and social media doesn't allow for nuance at times and oftentimes. And so we're going to do a video about conversion therapy, and in hopes that it really does help to shine some light into the decision that the Supreme Court made, into Justice Ketanji Brown Jackson's argument here versus the other 8 arguments, and why it's so important that those of us who are against conversion therapy continue to advocate. The fight is not over. They've just sent it to a lower court. And so we've got to keep working, right? We have to keep working and educating. I think that is really the point here. Yeah. Yeah. And family, one thing I also wanted to do during this episode was play more of the voices from our Trans Day of Visibility episode. It was just such a beautiful episode, just so beautiful. And more people needed to hear them. And so I just want to play them. I just want to play them one after another, one after another. And I hope they inspire you too.
Family! What's up, everybody? My name is Carter Cavazos, and I live right here in Chicago, and I'm the Director of Community Partnerships at E3 Radio. I want to give a happy, happy, happy Trans Day of Visibility to every trans person in the world, whether you're listening to this message right now or you're just out there existing, okay? I see you. You look beautiful today. All my love and all my flowers to Black, brown, indigenous trans people that are disabled, that are deaf or blind, undocumented, incarcerated, or any trans person who feels like the world has failed them. I want to give my love to trans folks who feel unseen when you're in queer spaces because you pass. Or trans folks who can't afford right now to financially or safely transition in the ways they want to. Or even trans folks who are like, fuck the idea of passing, and y'all just want to be out here existing in the world. You look incredible, baby. I see you. I love you. All my love. All of my love to my trans elders. my trans ancestors, and to Miss Major, who shaped me and made me the person I am today. I miss you more and more every day, and I'm so grateful for the work that you have done and all that you have done for the trans community. I want y'all to know that it's hard right now, okay? It's a hard time in the world, but we cannot give up this fight. We need to make sure that we are staying vigilant, that we are taking care of each other, and remember that the most important non renewable resource in this world is you. We keep each other safe and stay safe out there. Check in on your neighbors and call somebody and tell them that you love them right now. Peace, y'all.
Hello, my love. My name is Rio Antone. I am a black 31-year-old non-binary artist, educator, and author. And one of the reasons why I'm writing is because I created a book that is called Manifest Destiny, Crafting the Life That You've Always Imagined. In this time period that we live in, one of the worst things that you can experience as a trans identifying person is the targeted erasure of your identity all around the America states. I wanted to be able to share with people the truth of how to live in your identity and fullness, not just from a superficial level, but from a level that allows people to truly understand themselves from the inside out. We exist in this world only to feel as if we're in complete survival mode, but the reality, we were meant to thrive. And I want people to always understand the measure of their power through understanding the measure of their strength. And I am persistent on the idea that all it takes is being able to do the work to be able to capitalize on who you truly are. So I'm really excited to share this with the world. I'm really excited to express the education and enlightenment of what it feels like to fall in love with yourself intentionally, internally, and externally. And I'm excited to see what it does for people.
Hi, folks. My name is Ruti. I use she, her pronouns, and I am a queer and trans woman therapist here in Chicago. I'm also an astrologer. Hello. And I have an astrology account on Instagram called Rue Astrology. That's Rue with three U's, if you want to book a reading. And yeah, this trans day visibility, I don't know about you all, but I've been feeling a very confusing mixture of both joy and grief. We're celebrating the joy of our transition, authenticity, community, while we also grieve and feel rage towards the active pursuits of the government, our families, our community members who are trying to erase and eradicate us actively. And, my belief is that there is just so much beauty in being able to smile while enraged and crying while we hug our trans siblings. So, my advice this Trans Day visibility to my clients, to you all, is to lean into this ambiguity, this and also, the yes and of it all, right? As self care, I need you to be unapologetically you, wherever that feels safest, whether it's at home, with your people, out in public, even. Let yourself feel the full spectrum of your emotions because they want us numb. They want us checked out. They want us dissociated. But now more than ever, we need to be here in the present, unapologetically trans. And I love you, and you deserve it.
Hi, this is Teeth from Portland, Oregon. My pronouns are they, them, theirs. I just want to share a word of love for my trans siblings. I see you, I hear you, and I love you. It's important for us to share in the love and joy right now. There's so much shit going on in the world. And yeah, I have nothing but adoration for all of you doing the important work of being visible where you can and loving yourself through the times that you can't. Yes, love you all. Cheers.
Hi, my name is Max, he, they from Chicago. I'm just going to shamelessly self plug here. Me and my wife have an album that we have been working on for a really long time. We're really excited about it. It's almost ready to put out there. So nothing is like officially up yet, but if you want, you can follow us at You or a Loved One on Instagram. Letter U, number 1. Happy Transgender Day of Visibility. Love y'all.
Hi, my name is Alex Vaughn. My pronouns are they and them. I live in Colorado. I've actually spoken with you before, Anna, on call a couple years ago. My wife Kim and I do we haven't in a long time, but we did a podcast called How to Be Queer. But I actually wanted to share, thank you so much for doing this. I wanted to share a moment, a note of hope that is actually fueled by a lot of rage, and the rage that I'm very grateful for, that got me to understand who I am and why I'm here. And so I guess my message is more of the quantum physics consciousness perspective, of how humanity is entering into a long-term recovery from oppressive systems, and that eventually we will all be um, where we want to be, I guess. But a few more seconds to go. That the only way out is all the way through, and we're definitely going to be. We're definitely in this together. No one's left out.
Hello, this is Al, he, him pronouns out of Chicago. And a special shout out to my friend Carter for putting me on. And I'll just use this time to just share my appreciation for all of the friends and people I've met this past year. It's been the first time I find myself in a queer community, and everyone has just been so uplifting, loving, kind, caring, and welcoming. And it's been a very transformative experience. And I'm just so grateful for everyone I have in my life now. Thank you for inspiring me to be the best version of myself every day. I cherish and love you all. Thank you.
They're all just so moving. I think from acknowledging our trans ancestors, like a Miss Major, to the acknowledgement of community for the first time and what it has meant to them. I mean, this is why we do this show. This is why I keep showing up to talk about queer news, to talk about stories impacting LGBTQ folks every single day, to continue to report on the stories impacting our communities, because there are people who cannot live out. There are people who are in places where they don't get news. There are people in places where they don't know if someone like them actually exists in the world because they can't see it. And we need outlets that are committed to just us. Yeah, outlets that are committed to just telling our stories. And that is what this is all about. I am and continue to be really grateful to be able to live out. It is a privilege to have the support of my family. That also is a privilege. And to have a room in a house with a microphone, also a privilege. And so what am I doing with it? And how am I spending my time with it? It's so important. The voicemails from Trans Day of Visibility always touch me so much. They bless me so much because people are so honest and loving and so willing to share not only about their own lived experiences, but about their businesses, shouting out to those who even told them that, come on, Carter, you came through, okay? And so did your friends. It's just really uplifting at a time where things don't always look like sunshine and rainbows. And sometimes it looks pretty gloomy. But alas, we are still here. And I'm not going nowhere. So I really enjoy doing this work. It can be a lot, but I really do enjoy it. And so thank you for joining me during our Thursday lunch break of Queer News. Next week, Monday, 7 o'clock, join me here. Turn on the notifications. We're here every Monday at 7, every Thursday at noon. All right. And I'll see y'all next week.